What's up, everybody? Clone here. If you don't know me, then I guess I'm the coach of the Honolulu Dancers, a small industry I run in here. But this is kind of like the mid-season PRs, low budget. I ain't got no like power slides or whatever. But just gonna be talking about what I felt like was pretty interesting so far this season, I guess. Be looking at this current standings, which is very colorful. Not colorful, but it's very interesting. We get two. It's interesting. But I'm gonna be looking at that. I'm looking at because I guess there is no Prenumbra draft analysis, which is my split. I guess I'm just gonna knock over every single team real quickly. I'm probably gonna do that first. It's probably gonna be a longer vid because I'm probably just gonna do like a bunch of shit randomly. Yeah, probably this is my split. There's no PR done for the split, unfortunately. I'm not gonna name any names, but I think we all know why. But I'm not gonna like rank these teams. But if I had to, I'd say like Vesuvius's team is easily the best. But I'm just gonna be looking over each team. I got no notes for this. I'm just gonna be like, this team looks like pretty. I like the build, and I don't like the build. Basically, probably gonna try to go over these like relatively quickly. But yeah, so Napi's build has like a lot of good momentum and like in terms of looking at another roles, it's pretty good. The Gotharita I feel like is like I don't really see the point of Gotharita in this build in particular because like Megalodius can set up on anything. So like usually you have Gotharita to like say if they have a hip out on, you want to like I guess kind of like I hope Gotharita can take EQ. I hope it can. Like hip out on's a bad example because they can whirlwind, but say like they have like a Gigalith because they have sand or something, and then like Gotharita could be useful because you can trap their sand setter, stall all the turns, stall out his PP, whatever, and then you can win potentially, I guess, if you rest. But I don't really see the point of Gotharita in this build. Like, I know a lot of people say it's like a prep magnet, but if it doesn't really do anything for your team, then who's really prepping for it? Like, I remember I did not prep for it. I think I beat him. I don't remember, but overall wise, like, it's just like it feels like a very standard team. I'm not sure I'm sold on triple psychics. I feel like Latios and Jirachi are kind of weird together. And I feel like if he replaced Jirachi with like a different steel, I would love this team. Like I don't know, like Cart even. What others? Let me this low quality. Let me look at steals. Celesteela, of course. Oh yeah, he could have taken Technically, he could take Celesteela right now. Like, okay, Celesteela would make this team good in my opinion. Like top tier. Because he can take it now because Celesteela was traded out, and then like the rest of the mons I feel like would be pretty good. And he has like pretty good electric resists for Celesteela as well. But yeah, it's not much. It's like he has good enough hazard removal for Volk, and he has like spike sacking as well. So it's like it fills in a lot of the roles, but I feel like a couple of the mons are just subpar. Like Gotharita, Lycanroc is a little bit subpar, and like Muck. I feel like Muck is like really overrated. Like I feel like Drapion is like a better Muck in like almost every way, and I feel like I don't really see the point of having Muck on this. Like I see what Muck does for his team, in that like he has triple psychic, so you want to get rid of like ghosts and stuff. I guess like other opposing like bulky psychics, but like his dark resists are like not really existent. Like you have Togekiss, but only having one is not really great when your entire team otherwise like. So like I can see what Muck does there, but like I feel like Muck in general is just like really subpar. Like I feel like Drapion is just like a better Muck in a lot of ways. But Muck isn't the worst thing in the world. Like a lot of his mons, like I don't really see what Alamola does for this team like either. Like like a lot of his mons don't really need the wish support. Like Muck and Wash, like they like it, but they don't really need it. Like they both have recovery and Pain Split. Like Pain Split washes with lefties is like pretty standard, and it's like pretty good at keeping its health up. Because at worst you trade your HP for like the HP of somebody else, basically. And like Muck, but Muck also has the recycle stuff. So I feel like he's a couple of subpar mons. His typing is okay. Speed tiers could be better. I think Lycanroc is his fastest mon, which is kind of whack. Like Megalodios is okay as the fastest mon. Like his speed tiers are like compared to the rest of these teams, his team is like top tier, but like it could definitely be better. So next team, I guess, is Washington Wishmers. I feel like this team is a little bit all over the place. But like not in a bad way, I guess. Like it's doing a lot, you know. Like Manaphy, Dugtrio, Ferrothorn, Como, each one of those Pokemon, they do a lot, you know. In a way, or Manaphy is a very threatening like setup sweeper. Dugtrio is really good at trapping stuff or forcing shed shells on walls that don't really want to run shed shell. Like say a Toxapex doesn't really want to run shed shell. You kind of want an item. You know, like Black Sludge helps it like live a lot of important twit KOs. Ferrothorn is a really cool pivot, I guess, defensive seal that has really nice typing. Can form a nice core if you have good fire resists. Spike stacks, which is really nice. And then Como, it's kind of a rocker, setup sweeper. Pretty good, like just pivot, I guess, as well. To be honest, Como is like pretty good bulky wise, just because it is a pseudo legendary, I believe. So it has really nice stats all around the board, but it's also really good threatening bulky. Like it's a really threatening setup sweeper. You know, recently I've been turned on to Como a little bit. I feel like it's really good. But the rest of the team, I feel like I like a lot of singles mons here. Albeit I'm not a big fan of the Mega Guard. I just feel like Mega Guard plus Manaphy, I don't like. Okay, I see what he's trying to do with Dugtrio Mega Guard, but at the same time, I feel like Mega Guard in general is just really underwhelming. Especially because it makes it kind of obvious what you're trying to do. You're trying to trap a steal and then sweep with Guard, but it's really not that simple. Just because Guard, the damage-wise, like compared to Auras, is really underwhelming. I'm not a big fan of like a lot of his lower tier picks, like Frostlass. I don't feel like it adds too much. Like realistically, his speed tiers, like once again, they kind of need like a lot of work. I think Mega Guard is base 100, so it means his fastest mon is that Frostlass, which is kind of yikes. Lanoon is kind of cool, but like aside from Rotom, I don't think he has like screens or anything to like really help it sweep. So I feel like Rotom, like Lanoon, although it's like pretty cool on this team, in that it's another setup sweeper, I feel like he lacks a mon that can really wall break initially. Like Mega Guard kind of fulfills that role, but all of his other wall breakers require setup, which is kind of bad in a way that it doesn't really give you good wall breaking potential. Yeah, but like Manaphy, Como, Zoroark, Lanoon, they all require setup to like really wall break. And even Guard in that sense, where if you want Guard to like break past like a Toxapex, you're gonna want at least one Calm Mind, because you're not gonna be able to like do it with Psychic, I think. If it's like Spidef or Psyshock, if it's Fizdef. But yeah, I feel like the team is kind of close to actually being good, but I think he's trying to do too much with his high tier picks, and I think he just needs to like focus. Like if you want Manaphy, like Manaphy itself is really good as a mon, and if you build around Manaphy correctly, then that Manaphy will like help you succeed in almost every single week. And so I feel like he has a Manaphy, but he's building around Mega Guard in that sense, if you understand. Like I feel like the Manaphy needs more support. Like one of the biggest things that Manaphy needs is a really good electric resist and a really good electric resist mainly. And Dugtrio is not a good electric resist. Neither is Ferrothorn or Como. Like they're not the best electric resists. Like they are all electric resists, but like they're not that great, you know. Even Rotom Heat, like he has electric resists, but none of them are like, you just need like a really good ground, like Hippowdon. Like Hippowdon is like the perfect example for me. Like it's an amazing electric resist, like because like even like a surf from a mon as coverage, like a Heliolisk, isn't gonna be able to do damage to it. But if like a Helios, imagine a Heliolisk with HP Fire against this team, like 6-0s, like literally. It's kind of ridiculous, but in general, like he does have like support for Manaphy, but it could be like a lot better. Like he kind of like sacrificed the support for Manaphy and guard, and kind of like, I guess, half the support. So like he's building around both, but I feel like just building around one of them would have been better for him. Like I don't want to talk about my team, but it's like that's kind of like what I tried to do, where I'd use my A. I didn't pick like a random A that I felt like was a good wall breaker. I picked an A that would support him, like, you know. But going to Metro's team, young Metro, he has Coco, which means he should win, but you know he's like 1 in 5 or something, unfortunately. So odds are not likely. He has Coco, Titar, Keld, which it's like 3 months that he loves. Kyurem, I don't think I've ever seen Metro use Kyurem, but this is kind of like just a standard Metro draft. It has a lot of mons that the Metro likes using. That's pretty much it. Like he's used some like variations of this team like 50,000 times, except now he has a Megazord Y, which I don't think he's used like 50 times the same way he's used Spencer, you know. But overall wise, it's just like Titar Keld, you know, it makes sense. You want to get rid of Psychics for Keld, and Titar's like the best Pokemon for that. Titar can also get rid of the Sun to reset your Sun, you know. It's pretty decent with the Sand Slash. Normally Sand Slash is like pretty ass, but you know, considering you do have a Titar, it's pretty decent. He was able to trade for this team, so I mean it's definitely one of the better teams just because of that fact. If I would have to give any like criticism, it would probably be that like I don't feel like Coco does too much for this team aside from being like a momentum grabber. But I feel like, you know, like Coco doesn't really do anything much more than like a Zero Aura would do. Like I feel like Zero Aura and Coco would fulfill the same role in this team. So I don't feel like Coco is like being as great as it could possibly be, but like it's not really a bad thing. Mainly just because Coco is that good, so it doesn't really have to be like the best like fit for a team, but like it just fits every team in a way. His scores are pretty solid. He kind of has every core. He has like grounded poison. He has spikes. NT spikes. Coolfish is a really cool mon. In E, it's definitely one of the better mons in E. I personally don't like Coolfish just because I like my bulky waters like bulky. But yeah, I guess his grass type being superior could be annoying because I feel like his T-Volt switch in is kind of non-existent. I guess Kyurem is like okay, but like I feel like T-Volt kind of wrecks his team, especially considering that he could have electric terrain up, which is pretty scary for his team, I would say. Just because like Serp is not the greatest bulky grass. Like if Serp was a Tang, this team would probably win championships, even if he's 1-4. But unfortunately, it's a freaking snake. So pretty classic Metro draft. I definitely rate it as one of the better drafts, probably better than the previous two so far. Okay, so next draft is Zorus. I am winging all of this, by the way, so if I forget anything, then oh well. But like I looked at the like what they have, and like all three of these teams so far have like what you need in a draft, basically. Like it's sufficient enough. So this is like kind of the first draft that I feel like doesn't have like there's no spikes. At this like before I used to think that spikes were like if you have them it's nice, if you don't then it's whatever, but at this point I do feel like spikes are kind of like something you should have like in every draft in some way. Like she does have T spikes in Hilgo, but you know spikes are like super good I feel like at this point. I don't think I drafted spikes, but I was originally planning on drafting spikes, but you know I got sniped, so unfortunately. But back to Zor's draft. Zor's draft is pretty standard. It's like Kieran Black offense. I will say the hazard removal is like okay, but it could be better. I'm not a big fan of Mega Manectric in general. I don't see what it really does. Like, yes, it's fast and it's a pivot, but like Mega Beedrill exists. You know, there's other fast pivots out there that could help you a lot more than Mega Manectric. Just because Kieran Black doesn't really have a problem breaking bulky waters. Like, there's not many bulky waters that really like destroy Kieran Black, and if there are, it's like Swampert Seismitoad, who also destroy Mega Manectric, you know. Arcanine is kind of cool, but I feel like Arcanine Kieran Black kind of double up on the rock weakness. Arcanine I feel like is really good in theory, but like anytime the opponent has rocks up, it's just really annoying to have Arcanine. Like if Arcanine is like, say if they have a Kartana, Arcanine is my switch in, right? But like rocks up, and it makes it really annoying. And if they go into like their water on your Morning Sun, then it gets really annoying then because you're always on the back heel basically. So like just in general, this team has a kind of a struggle dealing with rocks in a way that like, yes, Gliscor, Scissor, and Decidueye. I think like Slurpuff learns it. Obviously, like her last 3 months probably learned it. I think. Hitmonlee, Slurpuff, and Pavilion. No, I don't think Puff does, but I know the other two like learn Rapid Spin and Defog. But like the team, I feel like is pressured to get rid of rocks. And in general, I'm not really sure how I feel about I feel like synergy wise, like all the B picks make sense to me. And like in general, the team feels like pretty solid. But like I feel like after Decidueye, like I don't see what Vaporeon really offers this team, to be fair. Like Vaporeon, yes, it's a cleric, but you do have Gliscor for that role to deal with like toxics and stuff. So I feel like Vaporeon is kind of wasted on this team, where you'd probably rather have like some Spiker. Like you probably would want like a spin blocker like Jellicent would be cool for this team, or just like anything else, you know. I feel like Vaporeon it's a little bit passive for this team, but you kind of want to be offensive with Kieran Black, you know. And the bulk, like I would say the Vaporeon to be okay if she was lacking on bulk, but I feel like the bulk in this team is really good without Vaporeon, so I don't see what like it really offers for the team aside from being passive and like setup fodder and stuff like that. And it's like, yes, it gets haze, clone, but it's like, yes, it gets haze, but it's like really passive otherwise. Like the worst thing it can do to you is Scald Burn you, you know. Slurpuff is cool, but I would rather see Slurpuff on a build that has a Tapu, to be honest, at this point. Yes, Slurpuff is okay, but like I'd rather see it on a team that has a Tapu, or like, yeah, it's just mainly a team that has a Tapu. For the same reason, I feel like there's better fairies out there like Comfy that would fit this team like pretty well actually. And it does like a lot of the things that you want your fairy to do for a team like this. Like be a cleric, offer momentum, like stall break even. Pavilion is trash, of course, especially considering the fact that she has hazard weakness. So I don't think she has brought Pavilion, so just kind of wasted on. Mega Manectric is like I talked about. Mega Manectric is just pretty meh. Overall wise, it's an okay draft, but like I don't feel like Vaporeon offers too much, and I feel like the team would really like to have spikes, especially with considering the fact that you have Kieran Black, who really like one spike is the difference between you two killing every mon on their team or not. Like it's really the difference. One spike and rocks, of course, or potentially. My team, I'll just briefly talk over my team, I guess. It's like I feel like it's the best team I could have gotten considering the snipe to my Tornadus. Otherwise, I would have went the Oxus D plan, and I would have had spikes to support my team. But it's okay. Really enjoyed Marowak this season. I will say it's like been my MVP. It's been a really fun mon. Cloyster as well. Cloyster is like super fun, even though I don't get to use it every week. It's some week it just dies to T-Bolt, and some weeks it like gets to boom on like Mega Venusaur. it's like an up and down mon, you know. Sometimes it's like super fun, and sometimes it's like, well, it's a nice sack, you know. But um, it's okay. The rest are pretty standard mons I've enjoyed using before. Um, where I would rank it as probably be like an average team, probably above average to be honest. I feel like a team, like I feel like what I, in a way that I guess what I'll talk about, where compared to Navy's team, where you know Drachi is a mon that requires support to be a win con, and kind of like is in itself a really good mon that you kind of want to build around. Thunder's Tea is not in that sense, where it's more of a like a supporting cast member mon. Um, it's pretty cool for Mega Mawa, and it gives you momentum. Um, can really break down like a lot of those bulkier mons and get the chip necessary. And like nobody would ever like round one a Thunderous Tea, right? So it's really just there to better support my Mega or my win con, you know. That's kind of what I feel like you should try to do with your builds, you know, is kind of build around one mon in particular, or at least two mons that are at least similar, or two mons that complement like a core, you know, like I would say like Manaphy, Zygarde, like that's the core. You can build around Manaphy, Zygarde and win almost every week. Win every week actually, to be honest, with that core, as long as they're built around properly. Vesuvius team, not much to say about it. He did have Stealth Seal before Kartana, but I feel like this team is basically as good, to be honest. I guess it's a lot more threatening offensively for sure. Like, Cart makes it a lot scarier. But yeah, it's just a lot of momentum, hazard stacking potential. Really, like the momentum on this team is probably the best in the entire DPL. Hazard stacking is really nice. He has 3 spikers, I think. Clay Liquid and Greninja. He has really good rockers. Lando, Swamp, Azelf. Like offensive, like you can just play really offensively with this team and like not really worry about like having switch-ins and stuff, which is kind of what you want in a team. Like if you know you can, I feel like Vesuvius as a player is pretty comfortable playing that way, where you just play really offensively, get up rocks, get up your hazards, and start sweeping stuff. And so it's kind of what I guess he's trying to do with his team, and he's doing it pretty well. I think he's undefeated. But yeah, probably the best draft by far. Fempest, Infernape Mew. I think Mew in general is how do I put this? It's really hard to build around Mew correctly. And I feel like this team is actually pretty okay. I think I think Aerodactyl does learn Pursuit, but I think if you want like a really good Mew team, you kind of want to have Pursuit in some form. But like as a whole, the team is not that bad. I feel like it's actually one of the better teams. The only thing that I probably want to have is some speed tier in between the Infernape and Aerodactyl, but as a whole, I feel like the team kind of worked together well. I really wish Hydreigon wasn't like the wall. Like the team has really good wall breakers, but like they're not like wall breakers that like I enjoy using personally. Like I feel like Hydreigon kind of lacks damage sometimes, like breaking like say like a Toxapex. Hydreigon's never really gonna break a Toxapex ever. I guess if you get 8 flinches, it might, but and like Nidoqueen is pretty good, but I feel like Nidoqueen kind of needs to be bulkier on this team. Just because bulk-wise, you're kind of forced to Florges alone, really. Florges and Registeel, who isn't that great bulky-wise. But yeah, Florges, Registeel, and like maybe Mega Blastoise. But I feel like because you went Mega Blastoise, I feel like you could have gotten more. Like you could have went like something like Volcarona, for example, or Tornadus. You could have went mons that really enjoy the spin, but I feel like Mega Blastoise like spin, it's kind of wasted in the sense where if you had went like Mega Gyarados, this team would have been probably better, honestly. And you could have went Mega Gyarados, dropped Hydreigon, and went for like Haxorus or something, or Kyurem. I know Kyurem is taken, but like Kyurem, for example, and this team would have been really good actually. But it's kind of like one of those situations where you have a lot of mons that makes sense on paper, but synergy-wise, there's a lot to be wanted. It's like Cofagris. I don't really see what Cofagris gives to this team. Like, you have really good physical switch-ins. Like a Megalopony is never gonna break Mew ever. Um, like it might, like it could potentially with like the right set, like if you get Encored into something or whatever. Like Megalopony is never really gonna be able to like twit kill Mew, you know. It's probably never gonna be able to twit kill Florges for that matter. And even Aerodactyl probably it won't be able to. And yeah, Registeel would protect probably as well. Like you have really good switch-ins to like physical attackers, so I feel like the Cofagrigus is kind of wasted. Yes, it gives you T-Spikes, but you have Nidoqueen for that, you know? So I would like to see Cofagrigus be something else, possibly a Spiker if the Infernape win in those late game situations. But yeah, Cofagrigus feels kind of out of place. I like Aerodactyl actually, it's pretty good. Ursaring I feel like is kind of an Unmon. Yeah, it's kind of an Unmon. Registeel, I feel like Registeel is pretty cool Mon if you're able to use it correctly. But otherwise, it's like really underwhelming. Otherwise, like I think Pip uses Registeel like pretty well most weeks. But other than Pip, I feel like when I've seen Registeel use it, it's kind of underwhelming most of the time. But I think like Pip helps you prep or something, so I'm sure he can help in that sense. But yeah, overall it's probably like mid-tier draft. I will say like the Prenumbra drafts are like way better than the Supernova drafts. Not gonna lie. Like, I would say like 60%, like Sip's draft would probably be like bottom of the pack on these among the drafts. Whereas Sip's draft is like top tier in like Supernova. But Flaming Monkey's draft, Flaming Monkey unfortunately sniped me, and so this is kind of the classic example of you have too much trying to do trying to do too much, or you have Clef, Torn, and Zygarde, and all three of those mons are really good alone, but I don't feel like you were able to support any of them like well enough, and even Mega Scissor for that matter. You have like four of possible. I would argue 4 of the top 15 mons in draft. Yeah, 4 of the top 15 mons in draft. I'd say Clef is at least top 15. Probably Mega Scissors top 15 as well. Other 2 for sure. But none of them were really supported around well. Like Reuniclus is pretty cool. I do see what Reuniclus does for the team, but aside from Reuniclus, I feel like the rest of the picks are kind of like subpar. Like Absol, Garbodor, and Magnetar are trash. Like Garbodor is literally trash, but I feel like they're trash on this build. Garbodor, like yes, it gives you spikes and T-spikes, but it's a really bad mon at doing both of those. And just in general, like Verizon, it feels like this isn't really a draft where Virizion is gonna shine, or gonna shine. It just feels like a mon where you really needed grass, you really needed a fighting, and you're short on points, so you went Virizion. That feels like what the draft is. I don't really see what Virizion does, because you have really good switch-ins to fighting types, and that's usually, or like Virizion likes to be like a water switch-in, I guess, and then you can set up on like a Swampert or something. But like you don't really struggle dealing with water types. Anyway, you have like Mega Scissor and stuff like that. But I feel like if you were to not have Torn, and you'd be like fulfill the C's and D's and E's more, and upgrade a lot of those like an Absol to like a Crook, for example. Like drop Torn, or drop like I would say Zygarde's okay. Or maybe drop Zygarde for like Zygarde 10, for example. I feel like the team would be like so much better. But instead, I feel like it's really, you have like a lot of cheap supporting members and like 3 really cool mons. But I feel like those 3 really cool mons don't make sense together, Like this Clef, Torn, and Zygarde aren't the best pairings for each other, So I feel like this is kind of one of the I wouldn't say worst drafts in this split, but it's definitely on the bottom half, I would say. Just because I feel like his 3 Apex and Mega Scissor are not built around correctly. Yeah. It's like, you have Torn Key and Mega Scissor, 2 of the best defoggers, but you have no mons that are weak to rocks. It's like, aside from Torn, obviously, but like no mons that are weak to rocks, It's like, Clef doesn't even take rocks damage, like why are you drafting like such an expensive defogger when you could get like Mandibuzz for for like so much less, and you could fulfill your other roles much better, you know. But yeah, that's what I kind of think. That's what I think, you know, because he sniped me when it made no sense to spend 180 points on Torn T, but you could call it bias or whatever. Pre-draft, it's pretty interesting. I will say Chansey is trash on this build. Aside from Chansey, it's okay. Just normal pre-shit, basically. It's the stuff that pre-drafts every season, basically. Anything in particular that I see? I feel like, in general, Scarm is kind of annoying for the DPL to deal with. I feel like most players don't know how to deal with Scarm. But yeah, just normal pre stuff. There's not much I can say about it that hasn't been said. Speed tier wise, it's like pretty solid, I would say. I do feel like Venusaur is. This isn't one of the drafts that Venusaur does like super well on. Just cause like I don't really like Chansey. I feel like if the opponent can prep correctly for this draft, then pre's like done in a sense. Where Chansey is like really vulnerable in this build because he has Chansey just to be Chansey. You know, you don't want Chansey to be Chansey. You want Chansey to be cool and like do stuff that it normally doesn't want to do. You know. But if you're just gonna blanket check Chansey, be like, oh, they have a Mega Zam, I'm gonna bring Chansey this week. Oh, they have a Plus Eflin, I'm gonna bring Chansey this week. Oh, they have another special attack. Like, people are gonna be able to like correctly prep around it. You know? Whether it's like single A with his Dugtrio, you know, maybe Free doesn't really think, oh, Dugtrio might be scary for my Chansey, and he traps him and Chansey's dead. Oh well, Mega Guard now 6-0's my team, or something like that. Like I'm pretty sure. Single had a really good chance of beating Priest team when they played. Had his guard had default, for example. But yeah, I feel like it's just pretty standard stuff that Pri would probably do well with. Will he make playoffs? Probably. Will he win a ring? Very unlikely, but you know he'll do well with his team, I think. But Pri always does draft well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Z Meloetta is trash though. And so Z Crobat, and I feel like Z like setup. I will say one thing is setup wise, this team is like, pretty bad. I guess you have Chomp, but aside from Chomp, like setup wise, this team is like pretty meh. Like Meloetta Calm Mind is eh. I think Manchao gets SD, but it's pretty eh. Incineroar gets SD, but it's pretty meh. I think Venusaur gets growth, but you know it's Venusaur growth, whatever. But yeah, it's pretty eh setup wise. So it's like kind of passive in a way, or it could have his team could have some trouble like breaking like more defensive teams, like probably yeah, I can't really think of any, but yeah. Next team is Eevee's team. So Eevee's team is like interesting. It reminds me a lot of AT&T's ATT's team. AT&T. I mean, I guess that's what his name is, right? AT&T. But reminds me of his team, where it is a lot of mons that are pretty good, but they don't really synergize well. I guess in the same sense, where yeah, you have Feeny Mence, I guess, like it just feels like a lot of his bonds don't really support each other, you know. So like even though yeah, he has rockers, yeah, he has defoggers. How many he only has one defogger? He only has one real defogger. Salamence is not a real defogger. So yeah, I would say this is probably the second worst or third worst draft, I would say. Just because I feel like Durant and Mesprit are pretty underwhelming. I don't really see the point of Rhydon in this build either. Like, you're not that weak to electric types. You have a Mamoswine, the Magnezone, you have Umbreon. I feel like the Megalope is kind of like poorly supported as well. Like, why is your only momentum Magnezone and Mesprit? Like, you want more momentum than that. I guess Baton Pass Umbreon. So I feel like this is one of those situations as well, I know it happens a lot, but like the Ments and the Megalopony, they're both really good mons, and they can both win you most weeks if you correctly build around them. But I feel like in this sense, they're not really properly built around, so they're both gonna struggle to really showcase what they're worth, you know. Especially considering he has one defogger for Ments. But yeah, that's kind of what I feel about this team. Chandelure, I feel like is pretty underwhelming mon as well. Mag is okay. On this build, he has Drag Mag, like Drag Mag, and I mean it's pretty classic. You know, everyone knows what it does, but like it's one of those senses where yes, he kind of built around Ments, but like where he has Magnezone, but he doesn't really have good hazard removal to support Magnezone or to support Ments in that way. So I feel like the team could be better. I can see where he was trying to go with it for sure, but you could definitely support Megalopony in particular. I feel like Megalopony has a really hard time with his team just because he has no real way of pressuring Megalopony checks. You know, like your Dark type is Umbreon. Like Umbreon's not really gonna pressure like Reuniclus, for example. Well, how does he pressure Reuniclus? You know, and I think this team actually lost to Reuniclus. Who was it, Reuniclus? Control F. I'm pretty sure Flaming Monkey swept him with Reuniclus. Spoiler alert, but nobody cares about spoilers. But yeah, that's the first Pokemon that came to my mind, and yeah, he lost to it. You know. But yeah, that's just kind of what I feel about the team. But yeah, it could be better. So Heen's team is next. Damn, this video is gonna be long. Might cut into parts. We'll see. I didn't expect to do like the entire Prenumbra, but you know, I'll try and be brief for the last two. Heen's team is pretty interesting. It's interesting, and I'm prepping for Heen's team this week actually. And I feel like it's pretty whack, to be honest. It's worse than Eevee's, I would say. First thing first is Savali can't run Z's, so I don't see why he has a Z Savali, you know. But in general, I think Blacephalon and Dragonite are pretty bad together. And he has the same Drag Mag shit that Eevee has, but like it's the same scenario where Empoleon, you do have 3 defoggers, but like you're really weak to rocks. Your offensive pressure is weak to rocks. Even Staraptor is weak to rocks. It's like yes, I would say that Heen's team is better like supporting wise. But I feel like Mega Diancie, Blacephalon, and Dragonite is just pretty underwhelming. In particular, Blacephalon and Dragonite. I feel like those two mons, they really struggle against a lot of Pokemon that people might have. And so Mega Diancie is kind of asked to carry a lot of the weight of this team, but Mega Diancie isn't really that Pokemon where it can just win every week, you know? You kind of need a really good supporting member, like a Garchomp, for example, to really help it break past a lot of bulkier stuff. But overall wise, it's just I feel like whenever you see someone draft Savali, it's not because it's a really cool like bulky pivot that makes sense on the team. It's because they need it to cover holes that they might have. And so like for example, this team really lacks really good defensive checks. Like Cresselia is your only real good defensive check with recovery. Like why is that your only Pokemon that you can switch into a generic hit and recover off the damage? Like that shouldn't be the scenario, you know? You should have more than one Pokemon that can take a hit, recover, you know? Like I have, for example, I have 1, 2, 3, only 3, 4. I have 4 Pokemon, and I would say that my draft is pretty offensive. So I feel like this team kind of lacks a lot of the bulk that you might need to succeed, and his offensive pressure isn't really in a way where Vesuvius has, like I would say Vesuvius has his bulk is like average, but I feel like his offensive pressure is so good that it doesn't really matter that his bulk is average because he doesn't need to rely on his bulk. But in a case where Blacephalon and Dragonite are your setup sweepers, the team is gonna struggle because you don't have the bulk to support them. And your rocker is Piloswine. You have 1 rocker, right? Empoleon as well. Okay, his rockers are. You have 3 rockers. 3 rockers. that's pretty okay. You don't have spikes though, or T spikes, which is pretty annoying. I would say you kind of want both, especially with Bliss Outflow and Dragonite, because they like. I would say if you have the Mega Medicham, then I would say that spikes are not as important if you were to have a Dragonite, because Megacham does a ton of damage compared to Dragonite. Like Mega Mawa, I feel like Mega Mawa, since Mega Mawa 2 it goes everything in the game, spikes are not super important unless it OHKOs something, you know? Like spikes are only important in scenarios where I can OHKO it with Sucker Punch, for example. But here, you kind of need spikes to start 2-hit KOing stuff. Like, Mega Mawa is always going to be able to 2-hit KO stuff, so you don't really need like spike support. But like, the Stuffland and Dragonite are going to struggle in that sense. So I feel like the team is a little bit subpar in that sense. But I think Keen's is like kind of newer to like drafting and that stuff. So I guess you'll kind of learn more about that as you play more Pokemon drafts and stuff like that. It takes a long time to like realize, you know, like I would say only recently I started really making it a priority to get spikes, T spikes. Swix. So Swix draft is actually I kind of like Swix drafts as long as you don't look below Ditto. It's kind of weird draft. Mega Medicham I feel like is kind of whack. I feel like Glade would have been better on this build. Speed tier wise, it just feels a lot better. Like you have 3 100s. I think Swix draft might be the worst, even though like I like his first 6 mons, 6 or 7 mons. I love them. Like those 7 mons together, amazing. And then the next 5 mons, they just ruin it basically. And that's kind of how drafts can go, you know. Where the first half of the draft is amazing, and then the next half of the draft makes it the worst, you know. Heatran and Zapdos, amazing together. Snorlax is a really good like setup sweeper that can. It's kind of like one of those monsters where you don't have to bring it every week. It can come some weeks and put in a ton of work when it has a good matchup, etc. Sylvan and Mungus are really good pivots. They're really nice bulky, like pivot wise. Sylvan, which is really nice actually with the Heatran and Lax. But yeah, Jinx, Persian, Shedinja, what do they do, man? They don't do anything. Those 3 mons are ass together. And apart, they're even ass. Persian is okay, but like, you really just have Persian because you lack anything faster than Zapdos. It's that simple. But yeah, it's kind of an ass draft, if I'm gonna be honest. I don't think Mega Man Cham is properly built around in this sense. I feel like Blade would have been better. I feel like if you trade Jinx, Persian, or at least Jinx and Shedinja for like, what does he need? You need a water type, don't you? Yeah, you need a water type. If you trade them for like, I don't know, Pikumuku, for example, would probably be better for you. Glycopod is an E. Glycopod would probably be amazing for you, because you need the spikes. What else do you need? I'd say probably you could use like a low tier rocker, an E rocker. I don't know how many good E rockers there are, but I'm sure there's one. Let me see. I'm actually gonna try to help you. I'd probably trade Jinx for like a Duogen, and Shedinja for like, who did I just say? I don't remember who I said. Whoever I said. It hurts me now that I can't remember. Glycopod. Duogen and Glycopod, and then change Mega Medicham for Glade. And I think this team would have been okay. Actually, it would have been like a mid-tier draft. But instead, I feel like it's probably the worst draft. So, now that that's painfully over, you can add Pip and tell him thank you for his amazing PRs. You can briefly talk about the playoff standings. So currently it's Vespri, Esther, Luke, Monkey, Sappy, me, and then Femp. So I feel like if I had to make any predictions, I feel like the only coach who'd probably fall out of this list is Femp. I feel like this is a pretty good representation of the best 8 coaches so far this season. I think even Femp would probably make it to the end as long as he continues the way he's been playing. Just because, like, behind Femp is T-Bug, who hasn't been doing too well recently. I think he went I think he killed like his first 3 opponents, so he had like 3 forfeits, and then he lost the next 3 games. It's pretty funny. No offense, T-Bug, don't kill me, but gotta admit, it's pretty funny. Sip, who's been a very up and down. Metro, I think Metro is probably the only coach in these like bottom half of the list who could potentially catch up to Femp. I think Pip has a really good chance as well of catching up, but I feel like Pip is also up and down. Where I think Metro, if he wants to catch up and like secure like that 8th or 7th seed, then he has to kind of like almost win out. I think Napi has a pretty good, decent chance as well, as long as he starts like win more. You know, he's 2-3, not great, man. He could be 3-3 though. So yeah, if he wins this week, he's 3-3. So I think a lot of the 3-3 coaches, like a lot of them are, I'd say half of them have decent chances, and half of them have no chances. But I think the current top 7 are probably going to be the top, like up to me, are probably going to be the 7 in playoffs. Actually, probably in different orders, but I think the only 2 question marks I would have would probably be Monkey and Pre, but I feel like their records are really solid enough that even if they lose, like even if they go like 50-50 in their last couple weeks, they're still gonna qualify, you know. Because yeah, I think they need like 2 more wins to like really qualify, basically. But yeah, is that it really for the video? Oh yeah, I was gonna do I guess the last part of the video, I guess, is seeding predictions. So I do think um Vesuvius is gonna be number 1 for obvious reasons. I feel like S-Tier is gonna edge out Pre, so I'm gonna have S-Tier at 2. Um, let me find the playoffs and see if this is actually. What is this? What is this, man? What is this? -1. Interesting. But basically, I think I'm not gonna do the seeding, but I feel like this is gonna be the same 8 actually, except I probably put Tempest / Metro / Pip as the last 8th seed. So I feel like first round I'm probably gonna play Luke or Surger. That Tempest / whatever is probably gonna be against Vess. I think Pre is probably gonna be like the 3rd or 4th seed. No, he's probably gonna be the 4th or 5th seed, I would say. And I think it's gonna be like Pre versus what's his face? Pre versus Monkey, probably, or Pre versus Sappy. But who I'm predicting, you know, I gotta predict myself, of course. But if it wasn't me, I'd probably say Vess easily. He's gonna win it all. But yeah, this has been your low budget PRs. I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about. I guess I can talk, like, I was gonna talk about like who I'm most surprised about, but like I'm not really surprised by anybody. Like everyone's doing like pretty well. Obviously Monkey is doing really well. I wasn't expecting Monkey to do as well as he's been doing. Memphis has been doing really well. Sappy's been doing pretty well as well. I was expecting Sappy to go like even. Who I'm surprised are doing bad. I would say that Shaver dropping out was pretty unfortunate, but I feel like Shaver would be doing a lot better if he had more time. Who else is doing bad? T-Bug, yes, I'm looking at you. You gotta step it up, man. 4-3. You were 4-1 at one point, I think. You gotta step it up, man. You can't make all the previous champs look this bad. You know, you gotta make that ring look somewhat worthwhile. Who else? Pip has been doing pretty average. Pip has a team where I feel like he would have done like pretty well actually. With, but I feel like 3-3 is not representative for how he should be doing. Same with Napi, 2-3, man. Come on, bro. Come on. Your team is actually like pretty okay. I will say I'm surprised by how many people are going winless this season. I feel like this is one of the seasons of a DPL where it's like there's like a really clear difference between like Vesuvius and like the bottom cut. Like I feel like there's no way any of these, like, there's like a really clear cutoff, you know. And even if you were to say not Vesuvius, Pre would probably still like do amazingly well against everybody in this bottom half. So I feel like this is one of the more like split or more. There's like a really big gap in skill level. I would say is a better way of phrasing it. It kind of shows in the way of these games are going. You know, someone has 23 differential. Pre has 18 differential. It's kind of ridiculous. You know, even I have 8 differential. 8, like I think season 8 I ended with 8 differential, and I finished like 7-4 or something. 7-4 with like 8 differential. Um, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, that should be it for the video. Just wanted to upload something. I'm a man of my word, so I was gonna like create something for the halfway season point, I guess. But yeah, that should be it. Probably gonna upload this at some point, depending on how long it is. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, oh yeah, if you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe. I'm gonna be uploading more videos in like the coming months, I guess, because I have a lot of draft league tours I'm in. A lot of them for money. Hopefully, I can win some of them. Donate to charity, because I'm a good person. Smiley face, of course. But that should be it for the video, I think. Yeah. So if you guys enjoyed, once again, leave a like, and see you guys in playoffs.